This is Pre-Calc section 10.3, part 4 on writing equations of ellipses. In video 3, we wrote a lot of equations of ellipses. These are just a couple more that come from the newer book, and this is in your packet starting on page 105. The other ones were more from the old book, so I just wanted you to see some different phrasing. This time we have the center 0, 0. We have a focus at 0, negative 12. Now, remember, if you have one focus at 0, negative 12, you have another focus in the same position on the other side of the axis. So if one focus is at 0, negative 12, the other one is at 0, positive 12. Same thing when it says one vertex is 0, negative 13. You have another vertex over at 0, positive 13. So I would take that information, start putting it on the graph. So the center is 0, 0. The focus is 0, negative 12. So we're down here. This is not exact. I'm going off the graph. We have another focus up here at 0, positive 12. Before I fit anything else on that graph, remember, we're going to have to find A, B, and C to be able to write this equation. And as soon as you put the focus here, here, and here, from this center of 0, 0, you're looking at this distance right here, or this distance right here, both of which are 12. And what that refers to is your C value. Your C is 12 because your C represents the distance from the center to one of the foci. So C is 12. With the vertex, I'm going to have one up at 0, positive 13. I'll put a little V on that. And one down here at 0, negative 13. Same idea, if I count from the center down to that vertex, that is a total distance of 13 units, and that is being counted in a vertical fashion, therefore B is 13. We have to find out what A is. You know that to find A, it'll either be A squared minus B squared equals C squared, or it will be B squared minus A squared equals C squared. And how you decide which it is depends on if this ellipse is vertical or horizontal. Well, since the foci and the vertices are on the vertical axis, we know this is a vertical ellipse, which means the B value is bigger and it should come first in that arithmetic, and that is why we'll use B squared minus A squared equals C squared. Forgot my squared. So this is 13 squared minus A squared equals 12 squared. Do the arithmetic. 13 squared is 169 minus A squared. 12 squared is 144. Subtract 169 from both sides gives me negative A squared equals negative 25, which means positive A squared equals positive 25. And when you take the square root, you get A equals 5. My formula for the ellipse that is at the origin is just x squared, y squared, and the A value goes under x. A squared is 25. B squared is 169. Remember the way I do things. A always goes under x, B always goes under y. A always refers to horizontal distance, B always refers to vertical distance. So this is the equation of your ellipse. Another one, find the equation for the ellipse described below. The focus is at negative 8, 0. Same idea as a second ago. There's not just one focus for the ellipse, there's two of them. So one of them is over at negative 8, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8's out here somewhere, negative 8, 0. We got to have another one over on this side, positive 8, 0. So the two foci are at plus or minus 8, 0. The vertices, it did give you both of those. The vertices are at plus or minus 10, 0. So I'm off the graph again. I'll put a little V on these for vertices. And as soon as you see this laid out on the horizontal axis, you should know that this is a horizontal ellipse. Also, because your center has to be right in the middle between the vertices or right in the middle between the foci, you know that your center is 0, 0. And as soon as you know that the center is 0, 0, you get to just use x squared plus y squared. Got to figure out the denominators in a second. But there is no x minus h or y minus k to deal with because the center is 0, 0. So I've just got to work and figure out what A, B, and C are. Well, A refers to the distance from the center out to the vertex. That vertex was out there at 10, so my A value is 10. C refers to the distance from the center out to the focus. and that distance is 8. We've established that it's a horizontal ellipse, so we will have a squared minus b squared equals c squared. Because it's a horizontal ellipse, the a squared will come first in this little arithmetic formula. So that is 10 squared is 100 minus b squared equals c squared, which is 64. Subtract 100 from both sides, and I have negative 36, which means positive b squared equals positive 36. Take the square root, and b is 6. So I have to just put my a squared, which is 100, underneath here, and my b squared, which is 36, under here, and that is your equation. So I hope you see between these two and on the last video that putting things on the graph can be very helpful to help you determine what your a, b, and c are. So now we have, find the equation for the ellipse here where the center is negative 1, 1. We've had so many that were center of 0, 0. The center is negative 1, 1. We have one of the vertices at negative 1, 10. That's going off the graph again. That is a vertex. And we have a focus at negative 1, 8, which will be about right here. Because we have a different center from 0, 0, I know the top part of this will be x plus 1 quantity squared over something, plus y minus 1 squared over something equals 1. So now I just have to use my graph to do a little bit of counting. From the center to one of the foci is right there, and that is a distance from going from 1 up to 8, which means that distance is 7. So C is 7. The distance from the center to the vertex, this was at a height of 1. The vertex is up here at 10. That is a distance of 9. That is the b value is 9 because it is a vertical distance. Also, because the focus and the vertex are on the vertical axis, I know this is a vertical ellipse. And the reason that's important is that that tells me what order to put my a squared and b squared in. So it will be b squared minus a squared equals c squared. So 9 squared is 81 minus a squared, which I don't know, equals c squared, which is 49. Subtract 81 from both sides, gives me negative 32. Positive, positive, take the square root, and this is actually the square root of 32, which is 4 radical 32, but I don't really need to simplify that because I'm going to be squaring the a to get what goes underneath here anyway, so why waste time simplifying it? So to put underneath here, the square root of 32 squared is 32. The square root of 9 squared is 81. And there's your equation. Last one, we have foci at 2, negative 3, and negative 8, negative 3. So 2, negative 3, at least this is staying on the graph, 2, negative 3. Negative 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll have to go out here, negative 3. Those are the foci. The length of the major axis is 14. I'll worry about that in a second, but I need to use this information to come up with the center. Clearly, the center is not 0, 0. And the idea here is that your center is halfway between those two foci, which means think about midpoint. Of course, we know it has to be down negative 3, so I know the center is something, the center is something negative 3. And I just got to do the average between this. 2 plus negative 8 is negative 6, divided by 2 is negative 3. So my center is negative 3, 3. So before doing A, B, and C, I know my top part will be x plus 3 squared, y plus 3 squared equals 1. Now I've just got to figure out what the A and the B are. Because the foci are on this horizontal axis, I know this is a horizontal ellipse. I also know that the center, let's put it on the graph here, negative 3, negative 3. So the distance from the center out to the focus, I could just count 1, 2, if I can get the pen to move right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is C is 5. and it says the length of the major axis is 14. Because the major axis total is 14, that means from C out to the vertex is half of that, which is 7. So my vertex will be here. So the distance from the center out to the vertex is going to be 7, and that is in a horizontal distance. Therefore, A is 7. It is a horizontal ellipse, so this will be A squared minus B squared equals C squared. 7 squared is 49 minus B squared equals 5 squared, which is 25. Subtract 49 from both sides gives me negative 24. Both of those are positive, so B squared equals 24, and B would be the square root of 24. And again, like the last one, there's no reason for me to simplify that because I just need to take the square, or just need to square that to come up with my denominator. So A is 7 squared is 49, and square root of 24 squared is 24. So those match the last 4 in your packet on ellipses.